Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I guess we're on. How's everybody doing? Hi, Andrea. Sorry, I'm trying to work around some last minute surprises. I was all set up out in my office with my new fancy setup, and I have another Wi-Fi network that is interfering with mine again. It didn't happen last week, but it did the week before. I'm going to have to get somebody smarter than me to help me figure out how to forget that network, because it keeps asking me to log in. And of course, it's a secure network, so I don't know how, but I guess somebody new maybe has moved into the area. So they're kind of putting a kink in my works. I had to come into the guest bedroom. I don't guess the background is too bad, but the lighting's not that great, but we'll make do. We'll make do. Hi, everybody. Oh, happy Monday. Did everybody crush Monday today? Still crushing Monday? I felt like I did today. Some Mondays I struggle to do that, but I did today. Wow, we've got quite a few people on tonight. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on. With crushing Monday or procrastination, Andrea? I struggle with both of those. That's why I wanted to talk about this tonight. Good, Cynthia. I'm proud of you. Bring them on camera. Who, these other people? I might. I don't know. If I knew where they lived, I would. There's only a few places I think they can be, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. It's all good. It's all good. Hi, Jessica. I got on, so that's the important thing. So do me a favor, if you would please, if you're tuning in live, if you would type live in the comments, that would be awesome. That way I can keep track of who catches the broadcast when, and if you are tuning in on the replay, if you would type replay, I'd appreciate that. For anyone who might not know who I am, I'm Mary Moss. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I'm an author and writer and speaker, and my alter ego is an administrative manager at a company here in town. In a transportation division, which up until 7 months ago, I knew very little about except how to pump gas and where the nearest auto repair place was. So I've had quite an education in the past few months, but I really enjoy it. So anyway, so let's get started, because this is a topic that I have been challenged with really my whole life. And it just feels like it's ingrained in me. I don't know. I can't really understand why. But I'm the world's worst procrastinator, unless it's something really fun or where I get immediate gratification. I'm the girl that has color-coded, categorized, organized to-do lists that go on for days. Notebooks full of to-do lists. And I'm not sure, Natalie, who should we bring on camera? My to-do list, you don't want to see them, they're ugly. So I'm going to, I kind of tackled this a little bit this weekend, and it felt really good. We had one of those really rare unscheduled weekends, and I really took advantage of it. We lounged around, we did just what we felt like doing, but I had some things that were becoming a little bit time sensitive. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to pound those out, and then I'm going to, come back in the house, and I'm going to read. I'm going to just do whatever I feel like doing. And it felt really good to operate that way and yet still have a sense of accomplishment. So I remember a few weeks ago, my friend who I'm taking some coaching from, who's been my dream coach for over a year, talked about how having a full to-do list can be a distraction when we're working on our dream. And he said that we shouldn't keep a to-do list anymore. He has only 2 or 3 items on his to-do list, that he has a really long what not to do list. And that concept really fascinated me because, you know, I'm this type A person. I need that to-do list. I need to have some direction in my life. I need to have that busyness, you know. It's almost, it's not an addiction, but it's definitely a habit, and I think we start to feed off of it. But what really happens when we have that long list is that we get overwhelmed because we have this super long list, and we think, I'll never get everything done. So I think too often we just don't even start because it's too hard. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Ruta. We don't ever start because it's like, I can never get all this done. It's just too depressing. I don't even want to think about it. So we shove it aside and we go on about our lives. And then things start to, maybe a deadline or something catches up with us or passes and we've missed it because we haven't addressed what items that we need to do that are on that miles-long list. So he came up with an idea, and I kind of, you know, I like to have a visual aid when I'm explaining a concept, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do want to talk about procrastination a little bit. It's not a good thing because it has physical ramifications because it creates a constant background stress in our lives. And even if we're not thinking about it and we're shoving it down, it's still there. And we're still thinking about all these things that we have to get done. And then we beat ourselves up because we didn't get all these things done. And so it just continues to be this relentless pattern. And stress is not good for us physically. It's not good for us. Emotionally, it's not good for us because then we really start thinking poorly of ourselves. I'm a terrible time manager. I need to get organized. And it just goes on and on and on. So there are a couple of things that we can do. Well, first, let me do this. I'm going to show you my idea for the to-do list and the not to-do list, kind of a take on what our coach John Eric talked about. So I created a little visual, no words, so it couldn't be backwards. But here's our happy face. Here's our to-do list. And you see how many lines are on there? 3. This, if this were really my list, would be, as I said, pages and pages and pages long. So the rule is that you can only put 2 or 3 things on this list every day. And you cannot move anything from this list over here until there's an empty slot. And I think that is kind of genius. He really came up with a good idea when he thought about this concept, because then what we're allowed to do is we're allowed to focus on the things that are time critical or essential in some other way. Something that will have a really bad consequence if we don't complete the task. So that goes on the happy face list. And we get it done. And then if we have time, if we have the inclination, whatever, we can start moving some things over to the other list. Or we can just go over and pick a couple things that we want, that we say, okay, I can knock this out in a couple minutes. But what I found happening this weekend, as I kind of took this, I made a list of, all right, these 3 things have to be done before I go to bed Sunday night. And that's all I put on my list. And I got them done. And then I did some more things because I got a momentum going and it felt really good. I had a sense of accomplishment, and then I was energized and empowered to do some other things. Now, this is a weekend. We'll see next weekend if I've been able to maintain that. But I've even decided I'm going to start doing that at work because we get kind of ebbs and flows at work. And this past week was a little bit slow. What I found, if I wasn't careful, was that I was just kind of idling away the time instead of using it to do some catch-up projects. So I'm going to also implement this in work. I'm going to have a column down the middle of my to-do list pages and see if that doesn't help me stay on task a little bit better. But it was really fascinating. And this article that I found, I'll drop the link to the full article in the comments later tonight or tomorrow so you can read it for yourself. But the author breaks it down really easily. He said, consider the ABCs of procrastination. And the ABCs is antecedents, which are the causes, the behaviors, and the consequences. And the antecedents are the cues or other events that occur before we do something. In other words, they're all the things we do instead of what we need to be doing. Watching TV, reading a book, deciding we're going to go do some other activity. It could be anything. Social media, whiling away the hours on Facebook instead of, doing whatever the important tasks, those 3 items on our to-do list are. So those are the antecedents. And once we recognize and kind of name what those are, then we can start changing our behaviors. Because if, we can maybe have a favorite snack, say, okay, if I get these things done, I can go get a manicure, or I can go get a haircut, or, I can do something fun that I enjoy doing. So we kind of build in rewards for ourselves. And we do this with our kids, so it just makes sense that it would also work with us as adults. So that's one way that he talked about how we can change our behaviors to make the tasks at hand not so ominous. So we get off Facebook, we say, okay, I'm going to stay off Facebook for an hour, or, I'm going to not do this for whatever length of time. I'm going to accomplish the things on my list, and then here's my reward. And so if we set that out ahead of time, we're a lot more likely to be successful if we set ourselves up for success. So I thought that was a great idea. And then the consequences, again, we change the consequences from being stressful and self-defeating because we haven't done what we said we were going to do, to being pleasurable consequences for doing what we're supposed to do. So kind of like positive reinforcement. I can remember doing that with my kids. I do it with, with my pets, for heaven's sakes. So it makes sense that it would work for me. So what do you all think about that? Do you think those are some little tips or tricks that might help you change your pattern a little bit? I'm telling you, it was right. We set ourselves up for success early. It was huge for me. Just the little bit, just this weekend, I noticed a difference. And, I almost got excited, like, okay, let's see what else is on the list, I had an hour I read for pleasure, which I haven't done in weeks. Because I always feel like, oh, I have to write the book, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I got all that done. And I still had time to do it. So, our dreams are too important to get distracted and to put off the other things in our lives. But you know what? We can also put off pursuing our dreams. Some days I don't feel like writing. But I committed early on that I was going to write 30 minutes a day, whether I was tired, whether I didn't feel good, whether I didn't think I had anything to write. And that kind of set me up to ensure that got done, but it also makes me feel good when I do it. And this was really my first example of how this actually works, because I was never happier than when my coach asked me, did you write 30 minutes today? And I could say, yes, I did. It made me feel good to be able to say, yes, I did what I committed to do. I did what I told you I was going to do in exchange for your coaching me. And that was a really good incentive and a good example. Right, I know. At first, when he was talking about the not to do list, I'm like, well, that's crazy. But then the more I thought about it, I realized he was talking to me. I'm not kidding you. I have pages and pages of, oh, this has to be done, this has to be done. And then I can't face it, so I don't do it. Right, Andrea, I agree. I also am the girl that likes to cross them off. And I do. I have a huge sense of accomplishment when I do that. So anyway, it's just a little short session tonight. I was kind of excited about this discovery, this realization that kind of expanded on what our coach John Herrick talked about a couple weeks ago. It applies to doing the things that we need to do for our dream and not get distracted because we don't maybe want to do the next thing we need to do. But also in life, because to me, you know, we always talk about we can't balance our lives, but we can integrate it. And if we're going to integrate all the areas of our lives, we have to have the areas within our control have to be running smoothly and have to not be weighing us down and holding us back. So anyway, that's my ramblings for this week, and I really appreciate you all tuning in. As always, if you have some friends that you think might benefit from these little tips, please share this with them. If it was helpful for you, be a good friend and help a friend out. I appreciate you tuning in as always. I hope you have a good rest of the night, and I will talk to you next Monday. Bye-bye.